Great to be back in the People's House. There are so many great memories I have in this building. I served nearly 10 years in a couple of different capacities, and I couldn't help but think when I walked in the door, the time that I spent in the House, walked in 2013, representing an 80-20 district in Forsyth County. That's 80% Republican district in Forsyth County, and learning the process of how to pass a bill, working with my colleagues on both sides of the aisle to take on organized crime, to help rural hospitals. Then I think about the time that I decided to run for lieutenant governor. And many people in this state said I was too conservative to actually be a statewide elected official. But by the grace of God, we won that election, and we worked for 4 tough years. We worked across the aisle, worked with Leader Butler and others to bring meaningful legislation forward. We passed over 50 bipartisan health care bills. We took on COVID reform, and we passed a very important hate crimes piece of legislation. There's also some tough memories in this building I've got. We were second guessed on COVID almost every minute of every day from the White House, specifically Donald Trump. Lies, conspiracy theories around the 2020 election, so much so that I had to have armed guards around my office and my home, around my family, just to fight off the fact I didn't admit that the election was rigged, because it wasn't. Fake electors sat just a few feet from us, sat in a room and tried to usurp democracy. And then the unfortunate events of January 6th showed up, and sitting in this building watching those events play out were a huge part of why I'm standing here today. All of those tough memories seem to track back to one person and one person only, and that's Donald Trump. Going against the grain as a Republican and supporting Democrat Joe Biden for president is not easy. But I'm not looking at this election through the lens of being a Republican. I'm looking through the lens of being an American that cares more about the future of my country than the moral bankrupt nominee of my party. There are political ramifications to this decision, but they pale in comparison to 4 more years of Donald Trump, both home and abroad. Let me speak directly to the millions of Republicans across the country who are tired of making excuses for Donald Trump's behavior at their churches, in their offices, and at their own kitchen tables. Enough is enough. The nightmare has to end, and it has to end now. It's time for us to purge Donald Trump from our system. Let's take the next 4 years as Republicans and build and heal a new party, a GOP 2.0, a party that finds leaders that are willing to embrace conservative principles and work across the aisle, leaders that understand the value of civility and compromise, that once again value honesty and integrity, a party that uses policy, empathy, and tone to work across that aisle, to gain majorities, to talk about issues, use it as our North Star. The last 4 years have been difficult for our family, the journey, but a journey that's been worth traveling. There have been so many folks over the last 4 years, nearly 4 years, Republicans specifically, that have come up and offered words of encouragement, that have quietly sent notes, have praised the notion of saying and doing the right thing. It's my time to ask a favor of all those thousands and thousands of Republicans across the country who've given us words of encouragement. I have an ask. My ask is this: it is your time to do the right thing. Don't give Donald Trump 4 more years to continue to destroy this country. It's a great honor of mine to introduce to you former U.S. Capitol Police Officer Harry Dunn. Talking about January 6th is such a sobering event on so many fronts. It gave us, as Americans, a peek into the soul of MAGA, to watching those events play out. It also served as another historical example of where hate-filled movements can take that very movement. It's also a reminder of how delicate democracy is every single day that we wake up. If it were not for a few heroic and brave police officers at the Capitol, our nation's democracy would look different today. So thank you for your service, and welcome to Georgia.